Thank you so much for staying tuned to this channel. Welcome to yet another edition of International Forum, the first for the year 2022. And I'm Wilson Marshall. Today it's all about what is happening in Hong Kong, or what happened in Hong Kong. Don't forget about the massive protest. Yeah, over the years, where Hong Kong are telling, the motherland right now in quote China that, look, you don't have a stake in our process. You don't have a stake in our politics. You don't have a stake in those members representing us in the House. And that led to a massive protest to the extent that we now have the anti-Chinese movement and the pro-Chinese movement. All right, Hong Kong couldn't handle it. They need to get enforcement from China to maintain law and order. It was so massive, it was so bitter that for so many months, some activists stayed outside of Parliament. They were able to break into Parliament, destroy it, wrote some insignia on the wall, and they were telling each other that, look, China will never have sway in Hong Kong. But guess what? Some few weeks ago, an election was conducted, and the pro-Chinese personalities were majority in the House. What do you think will be the implication of this? Despite the warning of the UK, China turned deaf ears, and they did what they wanted to do. And it's like Hong Kong right now, it's in the palms of China. What about the activists that were protesting previously? What will be their fate? Are they going to be asylum seekers? Or will Hong Kong kind of government be taking directives directly from the motherland, China? With me here in the studio to talk about this is a lecturer from the Uniben College of Medical Sciences. I got it right now, right? Yeah. And of course, a clergyman. To welcome Honorable Frank Amego. I appreciate your comments.
Thank you. Happy New Year, Wilson.
Same to you, sir. Same to you,
thank
sir.
you. Yeah.
Were you surprised to see the outcome of Hong Kong election? Let's start from there.
Never a surprise, because China was involved. China has been, to me, a suspect over these few years, going by the way and manner they conduct themselves, which begins to manifest the fears of some persons that China wants to take over the world. They want to dominate. By any means at all, they want to dominate. And in 1984, China signed an internationally binding treaty with Britain that come 1997, when Britain would have handed over Hong Kong to China, that Hong Kong will be a kind of a free nation within China, to the extent that you have one country and two governments. China agreed. That was why Britain had to cede Hong Kong to China, so based on the treaty that was signed. But after a short while, China began to manifest what is made of. All the suspicions people have had about China started coming to bear. And over the years too, they wanted Hong Kong to have some level of freedom. Freedom in the sense that, in terms of democracy, internal running of their own territory, but China did not allow it. We cannot say categorically now that Hong Kong is practicing democracy. They are not. They force the Hong Kongers into a kind of system whereby they say go into democracy based on the list that we have made. That's the system there now. That's why in your opening remark you mentioned about a large number of Chinese personalities being part of the government of Hong Kong, the legislative aspect especially. So what they have tried to do now is to create a kind of, allow me to use the word necrosis. Necrosis. You kind of shut down the system, no oxygen supply. And once there's no oxygen supply to the tissue, what happens? The cell dies. So what they are trying to do to Hong Kong is to stifle it to the point that Hong Kong would by themselves surrender their sovereignty to them. But I like the interventions of various other responsible countries. I call them responsible because they will not allow such things to play out in these modern times. Britain has asked, who wants to come to Britain? Come, free. Hong Kong, about that, people from Hong Kong. Canada did the same thing, even US. So that will not be a situation whereby people colonized by Britain, and they now know what it means to live in freedom, and overnight are now brought into slavery. So China is not going to relent in doing what it's doing. And of course, whenever a thing like that happens, the unholy trinity,
Unholy Trinity.
China, Russia, and North Korea, that's their game plan, to ensure that anywhere US is, but indirectly now Britain follows US wherever it goes. So now it's a British colonized place. So they three want to still ensure that those colonizations they had will be jettisoned, such that, you know, in China they are not practicing democracy. So they don't want such a thing to play out in Hong Kong. So everything possible they will do. About the middle of 2020, they came up with a security law that who goes against that law will be incarcerated, to put that in summary. So how could you have done that going by the 1984 treaty that you signed, that Hong Kong could go ahead to maintain their sovereignty in a way, but now you're not making a law for them, and that law you have made for them does not go down well with their own freedom. And of course, a lot of persons have been jailed, protests here and there. So we are seeing a situation whereby China really wants to do all these things we have suspended them off. They give out loans, at the end of the day, they take over your system. They're like the HIV, the virus. They enter into your DNA and manipulate everything. So the best thing for us to do is a lesson for us in Nigeria to minimize our interactions with China, especially seeking of loans and all that. Because you may not know some hidden clauses in the agreement you have signed, because you want to just get the loan by all means. And at that point, you may not be very careful to study word for word the article that you are signing. So it's unfortunate that such a thing is happening in this present world. If it had happened in the 14th century, would have read it in books. But not in this modern world, whereby you want to just trample on the rights and privileges of a people without a just cause.
All right, trample on the rights and privileges of a people without a just cause. You said that China, from what they did, Hong Kong did not practice democracy, but people came out to vote and they won. The pro-Chinese citizens in Hong Kong, they won, haven't been given votes by the citizens. Is that not part of democracy?
That's not the right type of democracy.
Okay, if you want to go by the definition of democracy, then what is democracy?
Of course, we know the popular definition.
Good, so if you go by are you not saying that Hong Kong is not a democratic state?
By that type of democracy in Hong Kong, that does not agree with the universal definition that is popularly known.
But they came out to vote.
They came to vote under pressure. Look at it. If constituency A wants a particular candidate, you can't vote for that person. The Chinese government brought a list of those they should vote for. That in itself is a breach of democracy.
But so you can call that Chinese candidates, and Hong Kong, they have theirs. And
Hong Kong has no influence in the type of government that they operate in Hong Kong, in China. So it's part of the treaty that was signed in 1984. So they should go by that. If, as we have in Nigeria now, we know some major political parties, PDP and APC. Then the next thing now, China comes to meet us in Nigeria that these are the people you should vote for or against between A, B, and C. They now show to us the ballot papers, the parties we should vote for. That's not democracy in any way.
And you have the right to choose who to vote for or not to vote for.
They brought the list.
Yeah, okay, they brought the list,
Yes.
agreed. But at least
That's
you
not
have
democracy.
some dissidents that really want to do what they want to do. Did they force them to go vote for Chinese candidates?
That is arrested democracy.
In what terms?
Because if I am to vote, I know the pedigree of some persons I would like to vote for. Now allow me to choose my candidate. Not a candidate that you brought to me, I should choose from. It's not like asking you, choose between AK-47, pump action, and a barrel gun. Which of them would want to be killed with? These are killer guns. Yeah, give me a list, and I needed to vote. I can't vote because if I did, my choice won't be among those ones you gave. So some will still want to vote out of the three. But whoever you vote for at that point is not actually your own choice as a person. Just like you are choosing between two devils or three devils, as the case may be. But that's not democracy. That's how it's practiced all over the world.
But according to reports, you have some oppositions also that vie for that same position and they lost. What will you say about that?
They will
because
lose.
their names were there also. Go ahead and
that's
vote.
the level of oppression that China is placing on Hong Kong. They will know, just like I'll tell you, Wilson, I will blow you 10 times straight into your eyes. 10 to the left eye, 10 to the left eye. Left and right eyes, that's 20. Then after I've done that, you blow me wherever you like 50. I haven't blown you 10 left eye, 10 right eye. You won't see me to blow anymore. So you have brought a list, and that list doesn't make sense. Then the other options we have after the list, you know that they have no political weight or structure to contend against those people on the list. So that's not democracy.
I understand that the process was skewed or manipulated.
If there's a better word to use more than manipulation, would have done that. It's a high level of oppression, intimidation. And I'm saying this here and now, that wasn't the agreement that they reached. That's why the U.S., even under the UN as the case may be, is not happy based on the agreement. You have entered on an agreement. Why don't you go by the agreement? And the agreement further stipulated that as Britain will hand over Hong Kong to China, that Hong Kong will have freedom for at least 50 years. And the 50 years will elapse by 2047. We're in 2022 now. You still have about 25 years more to show your level of oppression that you have reserved all these years. But they couldn't wait anymore. They have up to 2047 to be free to have a country where you have one country and two governments. That was what China signed. And unfortunately, they didn't. As they were signing, they had something else in mind. The same way Nigeria should be careful, as they give you any loan, they have something else in mind. Or there are other nations in Africa where they have entered into an agreement by collecting loans from them. They are suffering it now. No wonder Nigeria is always borrowing from China. Who knows? Maybe that is the agreement. That every year you keep on borrowing.
Well, since we're not there when they signed the agreement, let's even have that.
Why it's part of it.
That'll be a talk for another day. Now, let's take a look at UK's response for crying out loud. Before UK handed, Hong Kong partly right now to China, they're like, in charge. Looking at this is our agreement, and China reneged. The agreement is like China is now aggressive towards Hong Kong. Their response, what's your view about it?
I like the response of UK and Europe generally. Europe generally has agreed that whoever, or Conga, that's what they call themselves, that wants to come into Europe, they have tried to relax all those visa restrictions and all that. So that, in a way, is to tell China of their oppressive tendencies. UK, look at the globe in a larger scale. Britain is not happy. As intelligent as Britain is, do you know that it's Britain that colonized the US? It's Britain that colonized Canada. That's why you have up to now in Canada, you have a British Columbia. There's a part of it they colonized. So how could China have dribbled them in that short space into signing an agreement they would never agree to abide with? So UK now is not comfortable. How come we didn't see it? Was from every indication now, all that China wanted to do was clear from day one. But Britain couldn't pick it. But now they are waking up to realize that China had an ulterior motive right from day one. So how to salvage Hong Kong now is what is giving America and other concerned nations sleepless nights. Because the 2047 year has not come. Hasn't.
All right, now if you take a look at the situation, some of the people that UK is playing the cowardice card in the sense that the very one that signed the agreement, they ought to have come to the rescue of these, well, I put it now, protesters in Hong Kong. They were like, standing up against China, but they never did. Rather, they were providing asylum. How does that really help the cause of Hong Kong citizens that really want to be free?
Britain is just playing according to his name. When you talk at times, you hold on to some points, so you are being British. As it was in the beginning. That was the agreement. So Britain would want to go back to that agreement to say, let's renegotiate. As federal government would do to ASU, let's renegotiate. So what is at the disposal of Britain right now is to open their borders for people from Hong Kong to come in. So I'm sure they are waiting for 2047 to come, and from there they may enter into that fresh level of agreement. But UK
waiting for 2047
for
to
that's
come.
next 25 years.
Won't that be too late? Because right now we have Chinese government in place in the homeland of Hong Kong.
You recall several years ago in the 19th century, 18 something, that it was out of war that Britain won, that they were able to get Hong Kong out of China. So Britain is not a docile country. They know what they are doing, but just that their system might be too slow for us to agree with. They know what they are doing. They don't want to kind of go against international laws. Because by UN agreement, you cannot just invade into China now. That wasn't what we agreed. And once you make that attempt to do that, that's when you now see Russia will come up, North Korea will come up, and maybe other countries that are in favor with China will raise up their heads to say there's war, Third World War, Fourth World War, whatever war they want to claim. So Britain is playing safe to open up the borders for so many of people from Hong Kong to come in. I'm sure for them to say, allow them come in. Even Canada accepted them. Come in. I'm sure when they're able to come into these various countries, they may learn one or two lessons, so that when they go back to Hong Kong, the right thing will be done. So even the educational system in Hong Kong, at the time, China tinkered with the curriculum. So that shows clearly that China does not mean well for Hong Kong. Meanwhile, they are still eyeing Taiwan. China is still eyeing Taiwan. The perception of China towards humanity is something that should bother all of us. They don't care the way you think. They don't care the way you feel. They just believe that this is their time and their turn to take over the world. So whatever way or means they want to do that, they don't care. And it's a big problem at the global scene right now.
All right, now asylum was granted. But according to some Chinese, pro-China citizens, it's not about the people, so to speak, right? Though it's about it, but it's about the land. It's about connection to the motherland. According to these pro-Chinese citizens, they want the prosperity of China to be extended towards Hong Kong, because after all, Hong Kong is so small compared to China that they can do two and two together to make Hong Kong even better. I don't think that that is a wonderful idea.
Why? The only reason...
Because right now, you say, okay, go to UK, go to Canada. They are leaving the land. For who to occupy?
The only reason I will answer or respond to that question or comment is because I know you to be a Nigerian. otherwise, if I wouldn't pray for China. China does not mean well for Hong Kong.
How?
You know, there are some persons that are very vindictive. Maybe the war that broke out then that made Britain to colonize Hong Kong, the various activities that took place then, China up to now is remembering it. They are not happy. In the first instance, why did you run away? And now that you came back, China would have been ready, no matter what the agreement would have been, brought before it by Britain, they would have still signed it. Give them freedom, autonomy in the next 50 centuries, China would have signed it. Otherwise, why would you, with your clear eyes, sign an agreement and still renege on it? So there's nothing China is doing in Hong Kong or to Hong Kong or about Hong Kong that will mean well for the people of Hong Kong.
Both are saying that it's very to have this connection to the motherland, China. And take a look at Hong Kong, that they have peace. No crazy protests. Everybody just there doing their own business. Don't forget that some marketers, some traders complained about the protest, saying, look, you guys are protesting. You're obstructing business. You're obstructing the flow of cash. You're obstructing the economy. You are strangulating everything. Let there be peace. And China was able to bring forth peace in that region.
Peace.
So what do you have to say about that?
The peace that China tried to bring is like the peace of the grave. You go near the graveyard, you see quietness, serenity, but there are a lot of dead people lying deep down there. So China, as I still want to hold on to, does not mean well for Hong Kong and has never meant well for them. I'm still saying that maybe, just maybe, the recolonization by Britain is what they are still not happy about. You know, in Hong Kong now they speak English and Chinese. And if you check their system, the system is working well. They live better than the Chinese on the average. And the way China is forcing itself on this globe is suspicious. We have not recovered from COVID-19 pandemic. As you know it, from there say it's Delta, from there is Omicron, yeah. Maybe next is Omega or whatever. No thanks to them. They are trying to bring this war to a standstill, such that everybody will now fall back on them, that they are the ones trying to help, not knowing that they are the ones that created the problem. You don't create a problem and begin to make an attempt to solve it. The next you want us to applaud you. We can't applaud you over it, because you created the problem. So the problem they also want to create through a deviation from the norm of the curriculum of every part of Hong Kong educational system. If they had allowed that to prevail, a time will come, people from Hong Kong will not fit into the world system anymore, because the curriculum that will tell you how and what to learn. All
right, now we'll come back to the curriculum after this a short break. Do not go anywhere. It's all about Hong Kong election, China's influence. It may interest you to know that right now, majority of the members of the Legislative Council in Hong Kong, they are all pro-Chinese. What do you think is the impact in Hong Kong? Thank you so much for staying tuned. If you just joined us, this is International Forum, the first edition for the year 2022. It is all about Hong Kong election, the influence of China as it stands right now. Pro-Chinese Democrats, so to speak, they are majority in the House. Unlike what it used to be, where you get to see them arguing amongst themselves, you get to hear about, protesters marching in the legislative chambers, destroying sittings, chasing out the chairman right now in court, and trying to make one point clear that China don't have right over Hong Kong. But is the story the same, or has the story changed? Do you think that the dreams, aspiration, and goals of China towards Hong Kong with this move, is it going to be achieved? And of course, I have Honorable Frank Amigo here with me in the studio. You were talking about curriculum.
Yes.
And of course, according to China's timetable, they really have to know what the mainland stands for. They want them to have that mentality of China man or China woman to make them to gel for peace and progress to thrive in Hong Kong. They think they have a reason, a purpose for them to really instill that aspect of Chinese mentality in their curriculum for peace to reign?
Of course, they have a purpose, and that purpose is evil. The purpose of indoctrination.
Evil in what terms?
In terms
peace
of,
and progress, economically speaking.
Indoctrination of the Hong Kongers as far as living in China will be. Britain has come to, in quote, indoctrinate them, to liberate them. That's why in that peace accord, what was signed was that you enjoy a high degree of autonomy. Britain wrote that in that agreement, and China looked at it and signed high degree of autonomy. So by the adjustment in the curriculum, it shows that that high degree of autonomy shouldn't be. It's just like you are in Benin, you are forced to speak another language, they are trying to make you study another culture in your own land. So no, it won't go down well with the indigenes of that land. So why recolonize them? The change in the curricula is nothing more than a change of culture, a change of belief system, which your Congress saw and resisted that shouldn't be. It's just like you allow me move a little bit, though is a useful digression between the husband and the wife. Husband, love your wife. Wife, submit to your husband. But now we are now married, the husband wants to train the wife, or the wife wants to train the husband, not knowing that the person that is qualified for training is the child that comes out of this relationship, that should train up a child. You're not to train your wife or train your husband. So now the agreement did not say it should change their belief system. It's just like a man trying to gather some livestock, and you begin to feed them, treat them, give them vaccine, everything. So to the animals, it's as if you are helping them. But as a poultry farmer, are you really helping them? You are helping yourself.
You are helping them to help yourself.
Yes. The bigger they are, the more expensive they will be. So that's what China is doing to Hong Kong. That whatever training they got, whatever teachings they got from Britain, will not go well with China. And that kind of a thing will create controversy between Hong Kong and China. So what do? Let's adjust them to our own pattern. That's why the curriculum, or different curricula were changed to adjust them. Just like you had an initial belief that when you mix A and B together, it will give you C. But now they are telling you, if you mix A and B together, it will give you K. And they're able to prove it if you allow them. So that is what they are doing to Hong Kong, that Hong Kong is resisting. They have been well trained, well cultured. Hong Kong people, they behave like the British even. They are civilized. A China man is not as civilized as a man from Hong Kong. If you place them side by side, you see civilization, you see old Stone Age relating with the present world system.
Well, many people may not agree to that school of thought that you just propounded, saying that Hong Kong and, of course, the Chinese man juxtaposed both of them, you see Stone Age and civilization.
In terms of civilization.
But Chinese, they are civilized.
In terms of culture, when you see someone from Hong Kong, the way he or she will behave, you know that this person is civilized. Someone from China has a belief system, communalism. That's a system. If you go outside of it, you are in danger. You cannot oppose your leader. Whether your leader is right or wrong, whether the criticism is going to be a good one or a bad one, you dare not. You don't have to accept. The same way they have been handling their people in China, that's the same thing they did. They tried to divide the legislative body into two. Half of it you could vote the way you like. But the other one, we're going to bring a list. So by that, you are adjusting the democracy, the autonomy that you signed, the speed and other challenges they brought into Hong Kong to enslave them is worrisome. 2047 allowed them. So why can't you wait? So I talk about civility just now. Why can't you wait? We have agreed. Allow me have this space. You signed it. Then the next thing, the persons that were there where the thing was signed are gone, the next they say, no, I didn't really sign it that way. A civilized person will go by the rule of the game, but they don't do that. If by giving loans to African nations that we're going to help them, and they signed, not knowing that the loans you gave out to them will come back and further impoverish them, take them from 0 to minus 100. If African nations had known that, they would have able to manage their poverty. As I said, though you didn't allow me really say that part of the agreement we have ever had with China, Nigeria and China, is to be collecting loans.
And I said you were not there.
Because there is no loan ever collected in Nigeria in this administration that is visibly used. What are the loans? So it could be part of the agreement. If they wait for you by their agreement that you're not aware of as a country, they'll check on you that you are supposed to collect $2.3 trillion. Say, no, we have enough resources. Our IGR has increased, our crude oil sales have increased. They say, no, check the agreement again.
Anyway, these are just hypotheses.
It could be hypothesis.
You are propounding this.
It could be, but that is what is manifesting in other nations of Africa.
All right, now can one not deduce that Hong Kong have been captured or conquered by China by this move?
Neither of them.
How?
Neither of them.
How?
Because of the intervention of Europe, Great Britain.
Are they intervening or telling people to leave, to bail out as in abandoned ship?
It's a type of intervention.
Leave. In what terms?
It's a harmless intervention. That they know there are some good brains, intelligent people in Hong Kong. If you know that with the way China is oppressing you, you want to leave, the doors are opened. Why won't you leave? Let them make that mistake, in quotes, UK, Europe, Germany, Canada, US, that Nigerians, if you know you're not comfortable in Nigeria, that's one small window. Open one small window. This is what will happen. So I said, let them make that mistake. So the level of oppression by the Chinese is unquantifiable. They don't care the way you feel. They don't care what you have got to say in reaction to what they are doing. The laws, the past security laws about June 2020 was to further incarcerate the Hong Kong people in their own land. Why would you come back and give them a law when they have all the arms of government? It's not done elsewhere. It's not done elsewhere. It does come from your own place. An agreement you signed that they will have a reasonable autonomy up to their territorial integrity, their governors. They will not come back from China and give them laws.
Are you saying that Hong Kong has not been conquered by China?
They're not conquered because they're still talking. If it gets to the point of being conquered, I'm sure UN, through US, will do something more serious.
All right, now, what do you think is the end game of China? Then Hong Kong now, they've been able to place 1 or 2 or 3 persons there, vocal in the legislative quarters, pro-China, the one leading right now. That's on one hand. On the other hand, they are there in the South China Sea, warning whoever cares to listen. They don't want to see anybody sail for Chinese vessel in that region. That is on another hand. And we all know what is happening right now between China and Taiwan. Don't forget to mention the meeting also of China with other Asian countries. What do you think is the end game?
Before the end game, in the tenure of Donald Trump, China couldn't do this as much as they are doing now to Hong Kong. And just recently, the present president, Joe Biden, is trying to pull his weight on this matter. So the end game of what China is doing is to become the world power. That's all. There's nothing they want. So they have looked at the poverty of Africa, and the easiest way to get a poor man is to just dangle a little thing. And out of that poverty mentality, you think help has come. Just like the traditional way of setting traps. You just put a piece of fried fish on the trap, and the rat will think it's very, what a delicious meal. So that is what China does to some countries that appear poor. So what they want to do is to gather them together at the point they would have no choice, and with North Korea on their side and Russia, they want to achieve one purpose: to be in charge of the whole world system. That's their game plan. They don't have
Just want to be in charge of the whole world system.
Initially, we're thinking, oh, their economy is booming. The next thing, they are competing favorably with America in terms of goods and services. They knew where they were going to, and that place they are going to, they are maintaining it. And if we can read what's on paper now, we can read the minds of China now, you now observe that that common goal of taking over like a virus, HIV, that's what their intention is. To just take over.
All right. Now, in course of your analysis, you mentioned Donald Trump, that when he was on the ground as U.S. president, China wasn't this aggressive.
Yes.
Can one say, or the is that Joe Biden, when we talk about international relations against China, the man is weak when compared to Trump?
Yeah, it's not weakness on the part of Joe Biden. If you allow me in this studio to mention that, without apology, that Donald Trump does things like Agbero. Will just force himself into it.
And to some persons, that is strength.
Yeah, that's in a way strength. But it appears as if Joe Biden is more civil, wants to obey some rules and all that. But there's a place for nuisance value. That is what China will understand. In the time of Donald Trump, Russia was trying to still oppress Ukraine. But in terms of Joe Biden now, the oppression from Russia to Ukraine is even more. There would have been no way that Donald Trump would have accepted up till now that Russia would be by the borders of Ukraine. Donald Trump would not allow that. I'm just looking at that as two ways of ruling. One is calm, one is harsh. But to me, what should be prescribed is the right procedure for the particular situation.
So what is the right procedure?
Donald Trump version will help.
That means Joe Biden is weak in this relation.
Not necessarily so.
You agree or not? What is it?
That's those style. That's those style. You could have a product that is cold, one that is warm. It depends on the nature of the product. They say, no, I like my food warm. Then go and warm up the ice cream. So it's the nature of the food that determines the temperature that you're going to use it.
Okay, now some of the opinion that now, since China has grown in, economically, politically, militarily, and are beginning to show their power, to show their force in the Asian region, that some of these countries being oppressed may just come together and resist China. This is just a school of thought of some persons and international reporters. Do you see that happening?
It can easily happen, because as we commonly know, that if you push a goat to the wall, it might be forced to bite. So there's a level of oppression that is bearable. There's another level that is not bearable. So I'm sure at this point, these various oppressed nations, they can still bear it. But to get to a point that they will cry out and they will look for external help. So if that happens, that will mark the beginning of the nosediving of China. And when that thing happens, China may not be able to rise up anymore. Because the oppression they have against Hong Kong, for instance, Hong Kong is barely above 7.5 million people.
Yeah.
And and they have the Chinese are in billions. So now they might take advantage of the population difference to oppress them. But it gets to a point, it's not about number now, it's about your arsenal, about the things you have. China wants to display all of his weapons and all that, but US doesn't do that. And that's the dilemma that China is going to have, thinking they are better equipped than America. That's a big lie. They can never be. America is ahead of every nation of this world.
Are you holding brief for the US right now?
If I need to, I have to. Because America, they are not noise makers. I have seen them. Like what happened in Nigeria, was it not last year or so? Yeah. About a police officer. Should I mention it? So a police officer, they were done with investigations in US before they now let us know in Nigeria that this person has been indicted. Unlike our pattern in Nigeria, if I just reported Wilson to the police that Wilson stole my phone, was I about to just give them something, for instance, They invade your privacy. They hold you by your waist, clear you from the ground. Now you are arrested. Then from there, you write your statement that the day you stole the phone, 1st of January 2022, that day even from your passport, you were in US. So really, oh, you were never in Nigeria. Where is the person that reported? Why did you report that? He said, no, I was thinking so. Okay, what will you do now? You go and settle yourselves out of whatever. So US will not accuse you, not until and unless they are done with their investigation. So US will not talk now. They'll be watching you gradually. All your skills. Is this one professional or not professional? Are they just backing? If they are backing, do they have teeth? So they will analyze all of that. That's why they appear slow.
They're analyzing and time is ticking.
Time should go.
And don't forget,
time
we have
nobody.
administration upon after every 4 years, they will change, baton to another person. No. And you think that will help situation in the Asian region?
You are looking
so
at that.
They have to wait for.
You are looking at that as a Nigerian. In Nigeria, once the next administration comes up in 2023, all the things this one did is jettisoned. America is not like that. They see it as their own common ground to do anything. They believe in nationality. It's a belief in nationality that leads to patriotism. In Nigeria, we don't believe in nationality. We believe in ethnicity. So they can still carry on with whatever thing the previous administration has done to see to its logical conclusion. So I won't see it as if maybe once the tenure of Joe Biden lapses, the next person that will come will start all over. No. There's a continuity of it.
All right. You mentioned the in quote right now unholy trinity.
Yes.
China, Russia, North Korea.
Yes.
And now there's this report, which you are totally privy to, that Russians, so to speak, they are the border of Ukraine.
Yeah.
Now, do you see them reenacting what China did in Hong Kong in Ukraine?
It can happen because the economic strength of Russia is far less than that of China. China is ahead of Russia. Russia used to be, but a lot of things changed. So out of the unholy trinity now, is China that is more powerful than any of the two. So Russia cannot oppress Ukraine as China is oppressing Hong Kong. There's no way that Ukraine will accept any law made by Russia to be operational or functional in Ukraine. That is not possible. It's not possible. They are looking at the weakness, the size of Hong Kong against that of China to oppress them. So, and the level of development of Hong Kong is far less, though they are doing well in a bit, but it's far less than that of China. But you can't equate that to the relationship between Russia and Ukraine. Ukraine will not accept it because they were all together. Ukraine was not a conquered nation. Ukraine was not recolonized by any group of persons. So whatever norms they have had, they are still holding on to it. And they know Russia very well. And they know that any invasion beyond the borders of Ukraine into the territory of Ukraine, that you Ukrainians will know what to do. But like Hong Kong like a docile animal. They're just there, just like this big rabbit. You just put on this table, you go back and call, you still be there. Unlike a rat, you leave it here, remove your hand from the rat, is gone. So Ukraine is like the rat. Ukraine will not take any rubbish from Russia.
All right, now, before we call it a wrap on this show, asylum was granted to so many oppressed, so to speak now, citizens of Hong Kong. If you put yourself in their own position, just put yourself now, you are one of they call them dissident now.
Yes.
Are you going to stay back to fight for your country or bail out?
Yeah, you're going to fight or not, depending on your present situation. You may need to run away and fight later on. Or if you have what it takes to fight right there, why not? But wisdom will teach that you can't fight China. It's obvious. Wisdom demands that. So those that are seeking for asylum now, that's the best thing they can. And that's what they are doing now.
Should you seek for asylum?
So, yeah, let them go and re-strategize and let them come back. If you took over Hong Kong because of their level of military equipment and all that, a time will come, they'll come back to Hong Kong and reclaim their land.
How are they going to do that?
They can reclaim their land easily.
How? When you have Chinese influence, they take out almost everything. Instead, they'll come back to reclaim from who?
There's a UN, in case you've forgotten.
There's a UN. China not part of the UN?
It's part of it.
Don't forget about the issue also of dilemma. It's still there, and they're still part of China, despite the hues and cry. China just annexed it and still part of China. And you say once they take over,
China can't 100% take over. The worst they can do is what they are doing now. They have tried other means for them to now resolve that let's go straight to the legislative part of it. That's the easiest way for them to infiltrate into the government and the people of Hong Kong. Other means, other ways they have tried, I'm sure those things failed. So if the Hong Kongers are really nationalistic in nature, they have the right to accept laws from China or not. I'm sure there are some bad elements in Hong Kong that are still allowing Chinese things to still perpetrate in Hong Kong.
All right, now you talk about legislature and they are known to make laws. What is the law they will make right now favors the interests of China? How do you think people that left the country will come back to undo those laws?
No, it's 50-50. If you check it, it's 50-50.
But they are more in number.
There's a way, the type of democracy, where I say it's not really a democracy, so to speak. It's been distorted such that Hong Kong will not have a way to vote out whatever China wants to do. So there's a balance. It's only when on the side of Hong Kong that they defect in the direction of China, that's when the Chinese people there will have the overwhelming influence.
And you think it will not happen?
Well, I don't know. They are not as corrupt as Nigerians. There's no Ghana must go there. But they should protect their own country or their own territory, Hong Kong.
By running away.
Some will run away. Why others won't run away?
All right. Thank you so much, Honorable Frank and Meg. I really appreciate a wonderful analysis. Yeah. Let's see how all this will pan out. Right now, there's a heavy Chinese presence in legislative quarters and legislature when we talk about Hong Kong. And that's what China has been fighting for. They've gotten it. And when we talk about legislature, you're talking about lawmaking, or the laws that will be, enacted by the chamber right now. Is it going to favor China? Don't forget that what really caused all this trouble was the extradition law that prisoners from Hong Kong were tried in China. That was when all this started, that we are independent, we are autonomous, you don't tell us what to do. And that was how the fight started. Right now, Chinese presence is totally felt, is everywhere in Hong Kong. How do you think all this will go? The agreement signed, should it be jettisoned, or is of no importance, of no value because of the action of China? Only time definitely will tell. See you next week, God willing. Bye for now.